Hey guys, so I just wanted to do a kind of like a breakdown, a kind of an analyst. I won't be doing any reaction videos for the Flash, at least not anytime soon. If I do, they'll primarily be for Patreon. Once if and when I can get that off the ground, and I don't have time to do edited reactions to every show I would like to watch. So I know I'm going to focus on Harley Quinn and upload any remaining episodes from that, and maybe start working on season two and Clone Wars. Although I'm behind on that, I want to get caught up to like the season seven episodes, and just react to like the latest video, most recent episode, whether it's be last Friday's, this coming Friday's episode or next coming Friday's episode, because I know just given like the views I get from like reacting to episodes that aired weeks ago, I get literal views. So I'm like, I feel like why bother? So this is a little update on that. Basically, let's go into the Flash season six. So during the pre-crisis first half, my thoughts on it were, it was the first season in years, and especially given that finally have a new showrunner, Eric Wallace, that felt like it was top tier in quality with seasons one and two. Maybe even better than season two, the best in season one, maybe even better than season one. I wouldn't know where to put it at the time, but it was definitely one of the strongest seasons of the show in years. I like season five, although it had some wasted potential. That I like season five. It could have been better because because of pacing issues and wasted opportunities with the villains. Cicada one, Chris Klein as Cicada, most badly acted, poorly written villain on the show. Most badly acted, poorly written villain on the show. They could have gone like the graphic novel approach that Eric Wallace is doing right now, which is like Cicada one, first eight episodes done. Then you do a handful of episodes of the Young Rogues done. Then a handful of episodes of Icicle done. Handful of episodes of Cicada 2 done. Handful of episodes of Reverse Flash done. But anyway, I feel like they're doing it better in comparison, and I like I said, like I feel like it was top tier. Getting to the back half, like there's been some good stuff in the back half, except for one storyline that is built on the flimsy logic and is a tired cliche, and it should not be dragged on for this long. It's the whole Mirrorverse, Mirror Iris storyline. 610, she got sucked at the end of 610. She got sucked into the mirror. She's hands like reached. She went back to McCullen Technologies. Went into this room where there's a big ass mirror. Some hands like came out of the mirror and pulled her in. Next 611, we see her like get up, like disoriented, and go back to her loft with Barry, and it was kind of painfully obvious to the audience, to a lot of people, that this was some kind of imposter, because she knew how to cook. She bought a very expensive juicer. There's all this other stuff where she's like, that was the immediate giveaway, and of course, and people, I know that there are people, the fan base is divided as to whether or not it's plausible that this Mirror Iris is able to deceive Barry and everybody else. And so he's like, oh, well, she's a clone. Like, it was established it was a clone, and she has enough of Iris's memory. He has all of Iris's memories to pull off her mannerisms, and make Barry believe it enough, aside from some out of character moments. To me, that's a little crap, because one, it's like we're 6 seasons in, and you're basically, for the sake of the plot, making Barry Allen still a gullible, easy to manipulate character. He's the main character. He's still being duped by the fact that it's like, this is the show that deals with the shapeshifters, doppelgangers, people conning him, or at least like keeping secrets from him. Like, he kept secrets from Iris, or like how like Nora hid the fact that she was working with Reverse Flash. You feel that all these moments in his mind would be entertaining. Like all these moments are in his mind, like first of all, it's like knowing how to make the pancakes. The fact that she was so callous in 611 about going into that bad guy bar and like breaking a bottle of a bouncer's head, and being so not nonchalant about it. They went to that lab where they saw the guy got trapped into their spirit during the whole like face off between Goldface and Amulet Black, and this quote unquote Iris was saying like, no, don't save him, don't save him, it'll blow our cover, and it's like he still did it anyways. Like the real Iris never tell him that. Even called him out, and even like Barry called her out on her strange behavior and like wanting to use like whatever device for Amulet Black to you know I guess leverage or like give it to her or whatever. And it's like she was saying, it's like, no, I'm tired of being the damsel in distress and being a comms and being the voice in your ear. I got to be more than that. I'm my own I'm my own person. I'm a damn good reporter. And it's like stuff. It seems like that would have had more powerful had it been the real Iris. Like had it been like a clone, not like this clone who's like everybody in the audience knew from the very beginning of that episode was duping him. And even got confirmation that from the end of that episode she was trapped in the Mirrorverse. She was like banging on the other side of the mirror in the Mirrorverse, saying, "Barry, it's not me. Help me." And people keep arguing it's plausible. It's not. It's like people keep saying, "Oh, she has enough of the real Iris' memories to pull it off," but it's like she's clearly more hot tempered and more short tempered than the real Iris. He's colder. She's colder towards Barry to the point where it's like she was butthurt about being reluctant to give help get the mirror gun that they used in season 5 from Starchive, and she was so upset about that when that Barry tried to kiss her on the lips, she kind of like turned her away and like only let her let him give her a peck on the cheek. Even the fact is like, oh, I gotta get this son of a bitch, Joseph Carver, and it's like she doesn't use she's not this kind of potty mouth, and like people keep saying like, oh, she has the real Iris's memory, so she's able to pull this off. Yeah, one problem with that. You know what she doesn't have that the real Iris did? The scar on her arm from the burn marks on her arm and and subsequently bandaged up arm that she had from the assassination attempt by Dr. Light. The attempt on her life by Dr. Light in 610, like 611, like the scar's not even there. It's not even bandaged up. It's gone. And people say it's like, oh, Barry asked about it. It's like, oh, it just stings a little bit, and it's like, yeah, but they go out to a Valentine's Day dinner. She's wearing a low cut dress. There's no bandage there, no scars. The arm's perfectly fine. That does not heal overnight. It's like that alone should be like a telltale sign for him to like act on a suspicion, be suspicious about her and act on it. It shouldn't just be like, no, it's not until like Wally comes back in 614. At the end of it, like he's only been back for one episode. It's the first time he's seen Iris or like the rest of the cast for the first time, like maybe like a year and a half. One episode, he's suspicious. He is suspicious of Iris and tells his dad, keep an eye on Iris. There's something different about her. Like people keep saying it's like, oh, like Barry and Joe and Camilla and this 614, like they were kind of suspicious about him, but it's like no, they act on that. No, Wally says I am suspicious about my sister. You need to look into that. He has to tell other people to act on it. Because, like, he's not going to stick around. And, yeah, you have Camilla. They took the photo. She still has it on digital camera. She still has this, like, fake iris, like, all being, like, mirror images or, like, some weird, like, image. And then she comes in and catches Camilla and saying, like, yeah, I'm not Iris. Sorry I had to find out this way. She shoots her with a mirror gun and gets trapped. She probably destroys the camera because it has the photo on it. So it's like, again, it's something that's prolonged, dragged out. Nobody's going to look into it. Again, the whole burnt mark on Iris's arm that she had in 610, the mirror Iris didn't have it at 611, does not heal overnight, alone should have blown her cover and made it next to impossible for the mirror Iris to gaslight and manipulate Barry, let alone anybody else. Like, this is, and it's like, people are trying to act like this story is, like, brilliant. It's not. Like, this whole, like, replaced with the evil twin thing, an imposter, this whole like imposter like taking the place of the real character is a trope that's been done to death. It's been done to death in comic books and soap operas for decades. Hell, they had something like that in X Men with Cyclops and Madeline Pryor. You had that with Marvel's Secret Invasion. I mean, albeit the audience didn't know about it ahead of time, but once you get into an event, the whole event with like the Skrulls were secretly replacing multiple heroes in multiple Marvel heroes and take shapeshifting taking their place. Like that's one thing. Is like hell. There have been storylines where like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Smallville did that. And I think I watched Charmed. I think they might have done it once or twice. Like it wasn't like an evil twin. That maybe they got like somebody got like possessed by like an evil spirit or something like that. But again, those storylines were not prolonged. They only last for 1 or 2 episodes because the writers on those respective shows decided, okay, let's not treat the audience like they're stupid. Let's not treat the characters like they're stupid. Let's acknowledge the fact they should know each other well enough to catch on to the weird behavior and act on their suspicions and realize something's not up. Like, oh my god, it's an evil twin. Oh my god, they get possessed by this person. Like, even like Buffy, yeah, like I said, Buffy did that. Like Agents of Shield, the whole like LMD storyline. It's like, yeah, like, it was like an arc. It was kind of an arc that took place over like a third of the season. But again, there were characters like main characters slowly being replaced with LMDs. But it's like people were starting to catch on to people being replaced, and that haven't the characters on that show that haven't been replaced with LMDs started to act on the suspicion that the people that they were interacting with were not the real, Coulson or May or anything like that. And it started to create it kind of was almost like an unintentional nod to the Marvel Secret Invasion storyline where, it caused some paranoia as it's like, okay, who's the real deal, who's not. And if you're going to do that, it's like, I just kind of feel like, I don't know. It just feels like basically this whole replacement the evil twin storyline should not be lasting for 7 episodes. Spoiler alert! I've seen enough behind the scenes photos, and episode 617 was originally titled "Mirror, Mirror on the Wall," which is supposed to imply like when everybody's supposed to the cast of the whole supposed to find out about Mirror Iris being an imposter, and Mirror Iris being missing, and they're trying to find her, or at least she finally gets out. And it's like I feel like they're not even gonna because of like Ava mentioned she was butthurt about how like Joseph Carver knew she was trapped in the mirror and kind of gave up on trying to save her. That it's like maybe when she gets out she's gonna like be like hell hath no fear like a woman scorn and be vengeful, as opposed to Iris when she gets out she'll be more forgiving towards Barry and everybody else for not knowing any better instead of like even like and this is like the same show where they had her be salty about Barry going into the Speed Force at the end of season 3, which is more understandable. I mean, like, she knew why she had to do it, but she still had abandonment issues from that fact. But and I feel like they're gonna make her like very easily forgive Barry as like have like a compare a contrast with how Ava is not gonna forgive Joseph Carver and she's gonna be vengeful and like guess kill him or trap him in the Mirrorverse and get control back of the McCullen's technologies, like whatever. And it's like even if you're going to like decide to like prolong this, it's like it's not like with like Sue Dibney deceiving Ralph, where it's just like people have certain expectations of this character, or like Sue Dibney as of right now, of like being like a thief or being a thief, going after Black Hole and having a whole like Catwoman Batman dynamic, between herself and Ralph, or it's like I didn't see that coming. It's like I don't know what her intentions are. After she got that diamond with all like the black hole symbols on it. And it's like I don't even have a fan theory for it. And that's exciting to me because like I don't know where it's going. Same thing with Nash, like seeing like hallucinations and visions of his doppelgangers like Harry and Sherlock, and then all of a sudden him being possessed by Reverse Flash, who doesn't seem to have a body of his own anymore. Maybe this is an effective crisis. I don't know where that's all about, and I don't know where that's going. That's exciting. But the whole like Mirrorverse storyline is like I knew Ava was gonna be evil to begin with because it's like Ava McCullen, you know, gender flip version of Evan McCullen, who was a Mirror Master. She had an counterpart on Earth 2 prior to Crisis, pre-Crisis. He was Mirror Master. Um, in the comic books, Evan McCullen is a Mirror Master, one of the Mirror Masters. It's like so. It's like I saw that coming, and so like I'm at this point. It's like stop prolonging the inevitable. Like get to the good stuff. Let Iris drop the act. Let people catch on and like call her out, and they figure out where Iris is, and they try to find her. She gets out, etc. Like let them both like let them like let Candace Patton go like full on crazy bitch and like wreak havoc. Get Ava out of the mirror and let her wreak full havoc. And they're gonna like prolong this whole like people being trapped in the Mirrorverse storyline, which seems to be what's happening with Iris and then Camilla after she got shot with a mirror after the fake Iris shot her with a mirror gun at the end of 614. Is like do what Agents of Shield do what Agents of Shield did with the whole like kind of paranoia, like replace multiple characters like secretly, and then the people who haven't been replaced get paranoid. Is like who's the real deal? Like who's the real deal? Like because kind of like taking a page out of the L&D storyline for Agents of Shield or the Marvel Secret Invasion, and then it's like Invasion is like oh maybe Ava McCullen is trying to like trap different people in the Mirrorverse and like take power in Central City because she's become that crazy, and maybe prior to getting trapped in the mirror she's kind of like Harry Wells, like kind of like a dickish character, kind of like Harry Wells prior to his mind getting effed up by the dark matter and sees like the dark matter, and then when she got trapped in the mirror and being in isolation, she kept being crazier, and now she's like full blown taking control of the company. She's bitter about being forgotten about, and now she wants to make a name for herself. She wants to be like front page news. Like she wants to like she becomes like almost like the female Lex Luthor, but you want to be one of the most popular people on the planet. So like, then she uses the mirror gun to like say replace like Joe or Cap Joe, chief of police saying, multiple cops, local politicians like the city council and the mayor, replacing reporters like Iris and Camilla, like having so many people in her pocket, and maybe being, I don't know, maybe some meta commentary about corporation and how they have their having bribing and manipulating politics and whatnot. Do something like that, and the point where it's like, all of Team Flash has been replaced. The point where it's like Barry has no other people to turn to besides say like Sue, Allegra. I like that character, not as much as Sue, but I feel like she hasn't been fully utilized. And Chester, granted, it's like I don't know. I'm not crazy about the character. I feel like the writers have done next to nothing to make him more than the poor man's Cisco Ramon. Have something like that. Maybe they have like mirror versions of Cisco and Killer Frost. The mirror Cisco has like his bi powers somehow, and then he has the face blast like kind of like freeze him in place, kind of like how Gypsy was able to brainwash Gypsy during the two cut off its connection to the Speed Force and freeze him in place. You have maybe like Mirror Killer Frost versus Camilla. There's something like go nuts with this, go insane, and then this storyline has some kind of payoff. I'm not seeing this payoff at all. So far, it's idiotic. Again, going back to the fact that the fake Iris didn't have the burn, the mirror Iris should like blow her cover, and is why this storyline should not be dragged out for long. Like people say like, oh, it's believable now. You can't do a storyline like this that's prolonged, and yet give me a scene where let's say like 6-7 at the end of 6-7, he's possessed by blood work, but then he's acting dismissive towards Iris, and she immediately catches on. That's not Barry. He's not himself. Like that. So about he's seeing hallucinations of visions of his doppelganger. He's dismissive about it, getting some advice from Caitlin. He goes to Nash's office. Nash closes the door behind him. Cisco looks at him, and just because of the certain smirk and certain look on his face that Tom Cavanaugh had, he's like, oh crap, you're not Nash, you're Thawne. Who's ever catch on to that? Like, you can't tell me that this whole like mirror iris deception is plausible when you have characters catch on to, you know, other characters being possessed or not themselves or like that. It doesn't make sense. It flies in the face of all logic. Again, if you do something like I suggested, like with Secret Invasion, something similar to the Agents of Shield LMD storyline, then maybe this storyline will have some kind of payoff, in spite of like being the foundation of it being based on like very flimsy logic, and just hoping that you know out of the whole West, West Allen being the gold standard because himself or like his imposter, an evil twin, like whatever. Barry can't do the same for her. It's like it's the first time Barry who's willing to kill Iris out of self-preservation is like it makes a mockery out of the whole like them being the gold standard because like Iris being able to catch on to Barry not being himself kind of reminded me of how later seasons where Lois was able to catch on to whether or not Clark was under the influence of red kryptonite or replaced by an evil doppelganger such as Clark Luthor, Ultraman. Barry not catching on to Iris being an imposter. Iris interacting with being an imposter reminds me of like season 7, the Clark Lana relationship, where Clark was replaced with by Bizarro, and Lana didn't question it was weird behavior. And then it's only when Clark came back and warned him that she was sleeping with Foster that she even knew about it. And at least in there, it was kind of a red flag for the fact that it's like, oh, they're not endgame. They're not as strong of a couple or know each other as well as they think they do. Albeit, I don't think it's going to be the end of West Allen, but it kind of feels like this whole thing where the thing is that couple like too much credit. It's like you kind of like undercut your whole message about them being the gold standard. So it's why I'm not. Maybe let's have some kind of payoff down the road. I don't know, but so far it's disappointing and probably the worst part about season 6, hands down. Like argue with me to the death about this is a great storyline, all this other stuff, but it's like if you enjoy it, fine. It's another thing to not acknowledge how flimsy the logic is behind this whole storyline. But anyway, I got my thoughts out. That's how I feel about it. Disappointing, Eric Wallace, you were doing such a great job with everything else. I wish you were doing a better job with. I think it's a disservice to the Iris character and the West Allen as a couple. But anyway, guys, the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.